Murray State head coach Dean Hood, the Racers coming off their open date after back-to-back FBS opponents. They'll be at home. They're going to host Eastern Illinois. This is a game that it was added. It counts as a non-conference game, does not count in the OVC standings. This year, the two teams will play the last week of the regular season in their conference matchup. So, Coach, just some thoughts on your team, and then we'll go into some questions here.
Yeah, just, open date, was typical for us, just trying to, find that balance between still staying up to speed football wise. It's always a concern coming off a break is that you slow down. So just trying to keep that speed of the game by getting some practices in, trying to get a little bit of a jump, in Eastern Illinois, and then also still, having that break. It's the only break you got, and we play 8 straight after this. So finding a way within that break, to stay fresh.
Perfect, Coach. If you have anybody has a question for Coach Hood, let me know down in the chat, and I will call on you. Talk about that then, Coach. With 8 straight games, and it's kind of unique. You're going to see Eastern Illinois twice, which we haven't done before. Can you talk to that uniqueness factor of facing an OVC opponent in a game that's not going to count in the standings?
Well, I'll probably be able to speak more of that in November, after the second time. So we're approaching every game, just like we always do. I mean, you can't approach it any other way. I mean, you go into the game and try to find matchups and try to find, things that are going to help your guys be in the best position to win the game, and you play that game to win it. And then, you play the next one to win it. So, I mean, it really has no bearing on how we approach it. I mean, it will have a bearing on the standings and all that kind of stuff with it not being a conference game. And then playing somebody twice would be a new, thing for me. It's never happened, to me, other than, when I was at Eastern, we ended up playing, I think, Western Kentucky in the playoffs after we played them in the regular season, So, guys always say they want to play in the NFL. So, last year in the spring, we played on Sunday, so they got a taste of that. And now we're playing the same team twice. That's what the NFL does within their division. So we're giving our guys a taste of the NFL.
We're going to go first to Dan, who covers EIU. So, Dan, go ahead with your questions for Coach Hood.
Hi, Coach Hood. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
My question is, it's always difficult coming out of the non-conference schedule to kind of assess things because teams play sometimes such varied non-conference schedules. How do you tend to approach, and I know this isn't a conference game per se, but you're playing a conference opponent. How do you tend to kind of approach that?
It's like I said earlier, we're approaching just like we do every single week. And that is, just look at our opponent, look at us, try to find the best way, we possibly can to put our kids in a good situation to win the game and just, control the things we control and emphasize the things that we've always emphasized here that we think are important in winning.
And then my second question is, having looked, had a couple of weeks now to take a look at Eastern and prepare, what kind of jumps out at you that maybe is different from the past?
I don't know if it's different. I feel a whole lot about this team, like I did a year ago, and that just seems like every game you watch, they're improving. You look at their roster and they got a bunch of young guys. And, as a coach, the best compliment a coach can give another coach is to say that, their football team is fundamentally sound and that they play hard, because fundamentally sound means you're coaching the right things, the things that lead to winning, and playing hard means that your guys are bought into, your culture and how you're doing things. And that's what I see, with Coach Cushing's teams when I watched them a year ago and when I watch them now. And, you look at them, their schedule, they play, heck, they've only had one home game. And I think this is their 6th straight game. They played 2 Missouri Valley Conference schools, and we all know how tough that conference is to a one possession game. And there are a bunch of young guys who are getting better and better and better, and they're getting coached and they play hard.
I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dean, this is John from the Murray Laser and Times. Is this kind of, in a sense, coming off an open date? Is this kind of like before the Mississippi Valley State game where y'all been beating on each other for a little while and now you want to see someone else for a change again?
Well, it's a little different because, you really are beating on them for quite a while. When you go to the opener, you get 29 days, you get 25 practices in. And so it was a lot of seeing each other. We we, like I said, it's a balance of still playing ball, but you want to be able to feel like you're rested, like you've got some energy because you took some time off. So really, we only got 3 practices in leading into yesterday's game week Monday practice.
But there's a difference. You've had 2 losses that really sounds like it was a bitter taste for y'all's mouths. I got to think there's been some aggression in practice these last few days.
Yeah, that's something, and that's a good thing, that we've, you have to curtail. Our guys they do a nice job of protecting their brother in practice and about how they go about their business. But you do see some, just some passion that, hey, let's get going, kind of almost an anxiety of, don't want to wait. I want to hurry up and get out there, and that's something that you got to curtail a little bit because you can't do that. I mean, you got to get the practice in, you got to get the looks in, you got to, work on the situations to prepare yourself, for the game. You just can't jump right into game day.
Dean, I have one more question. How about the injury situation, Britain and Dallas specifically?
I don't think we'll have either one of those kids, for this game. And those are guys that'll be an ongoing, evaluating process to see, when they can come back, because, both their injuries are ones that, we're going to be needing to take some more pictures and have some more doctor's visits and work through a few things before we really know, how many games out, that they are.
Those are receivers. Who steps up for you now?
Well, we're a little bit deeper, this year than we were a year ago. If this would have happened, last year, we'd have been in, big trouble. But, we signed some kids, some freshman kids, and then also, got some transfer guys that have been contributing. So, it was good to see, Deshaun step up when Daquan was out, and now we need somebody to step up with Deshaun out.
Coach, just a stat on defense. I was reading in the notes that you all have forced a turnover in 9 of your 10 games as Murray State's head coach, which is important. Can you talk about that defensive effort that you've had in those games? And on the flip side of that, EIU had they forced some big turnovers against Tennessee Tech in their last game with their defense.
They did. They play really hard. Their linebacking core is incredible. It's not to say they're not good up front or not good in the back end, because they are, but they're disruptive up front. Their linebackers really run to the ball. It seems like they always have a good linebacker at EIU. It seems to be their thing. But those kids play really hard, and when you fly to the ball like they do and you play as hard as they do, good things are going to happen. And it's the same with us. It's the same thing we preach with our guys is to, at the end of the game, make sure that's one thing that you control, that you played harder than the other team. And, that leads to turnovers. And when we've turned the ball over, turned people over and protected the ball offensively, that's when we've played really well. Mississippi Valley and, first half of Bowling Green and UC. When we haven't done those things, it hadn't looked as good, the 2 second halves of BG and Cincinnati. So, that's something that we've got to do a good job, as disruptive as they are and as opportunistic as they are with the ball. We got to protect the ball, and then we've got to be able to get after them and create some turnovers.
Anybody else questions for Coach Hood? All right, Coach, thanks for your time this morning. Best of luck on Saturday. We'll talk to you again next week.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Dean.